Hello everyone, welcome to back my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. General Hospital episodes see Portia Robinson, Brooke Kerr, desperate to shut Drew Kane Quartermain, Cameron Matheson, down and end his blackmail. So, she's digging into his medical records to find some dirt to use against him. Portia might hit the jackpot. She may dig up a secret so scary from Drew's past, it could get him thrown out of office. Now, Portia is really stressed because Drew is wreaking havoc on her life. And thanks to Brad Cooper, Perry Shen, telling Selena Wu, Lydia Look, who then told Drew, the congressman knows that Portia tampered with Heather Weber's, Allie Mills, test results. So with the blackmail, Portia could lose her medical license. She could potentially go to prison. And she could lose her husband Curtis Ashford, Donald Turner. Recently, Portia told Ava Jerome, Maura West, she's looking at Drew's medical files hoping to find something to use against him. But Ava cautioned against it on General Hospital. Meanwhile, Drew Kane is getting so out of hand that Portia is desperate, and she's hoping the solution to her problem is in those medical files. Belinda from GH News 24 talks about it in the video above. Ever since they brought Jason Morgan's Steve Burton twin onto GH, we've seen Drew suffer bizarre medical issues. One of the ongoing issues he's had, especially since they recast with Cameron Matheson, is the whole mind control thing. It was in two different phases. But the latter one is more disturbing. It reminds me a lot of that old movie, The Manchurian Candidate. I love old movies. The original was from 1962. Then, they remade it in 2004, and it parallels this Drew plot on General Hospital in a lot of ways. So in the movie, if you've not seen it, it's set in the Korean War. There was an American soldier who was brainwashed by really bad people, enemy forces. They made him a sleeper soldier they could activate and use to assassinate a presidential candidate. That was intended to help bad guys overthrow the US government. And the mind-controlled guy was activated by a playing card. I think it was the Queen of Hearts. Anyway, Drew's past is eerily similar to this movie. Many General Hospital fans may recall Drew has been mind-controlled in two different ways. First, Helena Cassadine, Constance Towers, implanted a microchip into Drew's brain that allowed her to control him. That was back before he first came on the scene as Jake Doe, Billy Miller, and Helena wanted to use him as her personal assassin. She's the one who sent him to Port Charles. She initially wanted his twin brother Jason, but he had all this scarring in his brain from the car accident when A.J. Quartermain, seen Canaan, was drunk driving back in the day. So, Helena located his twin Andrew Kane, and she had them put the microchip in him. So, they did that with a physical device and layered this memory mapping thing onto him too. But Drew later had brain surgery and they removed the microchip. So that surgery should definitely be in his medical records at General Hospital. Later, we found out a second layer of Drew's psychological programming. Cesar Faison's son, aka Henrik Faison, aka Peter August, Wes Ramsey, used Drew as a secret hitman. That came out when they recast with Cameron Matheson as Drew. Instead of a playing card like in the Manchurian Candidate movie, it was a tarot card that activated Drew. Peter kept Drew hostage for 2 years when everybody thought he died in a plane crash. So, Peter activated him to kill and kidnap people. And Drew didn't remember any of it afterward. What's interesting is after Jason sacrificed himself to save Drew, there's no record of him ever being deprogrammed from this second layer of brainwashing. As a matter of fact, when he came back to Port Charles after Jason saved him, Drew was worried he could still be activated. On General Hospital, somebody just needed the right tarot card and activation word. In fact, Victor Cassadine, Charles Shaughnessy, tried to activate Drew's mind control, but they tricked him. He had the wrong tarot card, so it didn't work. Peter never told him the info. But Portia's digging into Drew's medical records, so she may bring some of this into the light. The second programming likely wouldn't be in there. But the microchip brain surgery should be in his file. Plus, Curtis knows about the second layer because Drew told him about it when he came back from the dead. Drew told Curtis about all of it. That included the memory mapping, and what Peter and Victor did. So if Portia mentions the microchip to Curtis, he might tell her about the other programming. Since he was never deprogrammed on General Hospital, Drew is technically still an active assassin. He's just waiting to be activated and used for bad deeds. And that's not something you want in a US congressman, right? In case you don't remember, Jason knows exactly which tarot cards and code phrases activate and deactivate Drew. His twin told Jason everything, and he witnessed it when they were trapped together in Greece. At one point on General Hospital, Drew was kind of freaking out and being dangerous, so Jason used a card and a code phrase to deactivate his brother. So if Portia gets this info, she could leak it to somebody like the shady editor over at The Invader. That way, it doesn't come out through Aurora. If it was made public that Drew is an assassin with a track record of amnesiac violence, it seems likely to discredit him, and it should get him kicked out of Congress. In the past on General Hospital, Helena Cassadine, Cesar Faison, Peter August, and creepy cult leader, Shiloh Archer, each had control of Drew at one point or another. Plus, his list of violent crimes is quite long. Although, he's never been arrested or prosecuted. Drew committed at least 20 counts of assault, and more we don't know of. There's breaking and entering, obstruction of justice, assault with a deadly weapon, theft, and trespassing. We know for sure it's in Drew Kane's medical records. So, Portia could find it and use it to take him down. There's a resource that could help Portia. She's working with Nina Reeves, Cynthia Watros, who's working with Carly Corinthos Spencer, Laura Wright, and she's dating Jack Brennan, Chris McKenna. If you remember, a lot of this mind mapping and programming tech came from the WSB, and if Carly talks to Portia Robinson, or if Carly talks to Nina who talks to Portia, she could ask Jack to get some proof. The WSB records likely show that Drew is a violent monster just waiting to be activated. However, we also know General Hospital loves to rewrite history. So, they could invent something else for Brad or Portia Robinson to find in Drew's medical history. I'm hoping that Portia is the one to take him down. We'll have to wait and see what Brad and Portia dig up. I expect they hit pay dirt in May sweeps, which kicks off next week on April 24th. I do hope GH goes this route, because it would honor the character's known history. To me, that's better than reinventing it with a retcon. Port Charles was quiet, too quiet. A storm had just passed through the town, leaving streets wet and branches broken, a perfect metaphor for what was about to break inside General Hospital. Portia Robinson had never been one to meddle without reason. As a doctor, precision, discipline, and facts were her compass. But lately, something didn't sit right with her. It wasn't a patient's chart or a medical mystery, it was Drew Kane. Portia had long been wary of the former Navy SEAL. Ever since his miraculous return from captivity, Drew had earned admiration across Port Charles for his resilience, business savvy, and loyalty. But Portia had worked in Navy hospitals before. She knew the signs of trauma, the coping mechanisms, the buried darkness that even trained soldiers couldn't suppress. But Drew wasn't just hiding trauma. He was hiding something far more dangerous. It started with a simple mistake, one that Drew never noticed. Portia had been reviewing patient charts when she accidentally received an encrypted file linked to Drew's recent GH volunteer psych evil. It was meant for Dr. Kevin Collins, but the hospital's internal system glitched. Normally, Portia would have ignored it, but the file header caught her eye. SEAL Ops Incident Report. Classified follow-up. What was military intel doing in a civilian psychological file? Curiosity turned to dread as she decrypted the file using standard hospital protocols. The report wasn't a psych eval. It was a military disciplinary record, dated just a few months before Drew's presumed death in Afghanistan. Operative Kane removed from Black Ops Command following unauthorized extraction and civilian casualty cover-up. Portia's breath caught in her throat. The report continued, detailing an unsanctioned mission Drew had led into a civilian compound believed to be harboring a rogue weapons scientist. The result, 10 civilian deaths, including a child. Worse, Drew allegedly falsified his debrief and placed the blame on another soldier. That soldier, SIPT, Julian Reddick, now deceased. Portia couldn't unsee it. The next time she saw Drew at GH, smiling, helping out with veterans therapy, joking with Curtis, she felt sick. How could Curtis, her husband, be so close to a man like that? Portia knew she had to tread carefully. She wasn't just protecting her career anymore. She was protecting her family. She confronted Jordan first. As a fellow woman of the law, Portia hoped she would understand. "I don't know where you got this," Jordan said cautiously, scanning the document. "But this is classified. And if it's real, Drew Kane isn't who he says he is." Jordan promised to investigate discreetly. But before she could, someone broke into her office that night. Nothing was stolen, except the file. Meanwhile, Drew began to sense something was off. Portia's gaze had changed. She didn't smile when he walked into the room anymore. Curtis seemed distracted. Even Trina had become distant. He tried to ignore it, chalk it up to personal stress. But one afternoon, he overheard Portia arguing on the phone in a hospital stairwell. "You don't understand, Curtis. If this comes out, it could destroy you too. He's not just some hero. He's a liar, a killer." Drew's blood ran cold. The confrontation came quickly after. Portia confronted him at Curtis' rehab center, where Drew had come to help with a veterans fundraising event. "You lied to everyone," she hissed, dragging him into a side room. "You let a man die with your guilt. You're no hero. You're a coward." Drew's face paled. "You don't know what happened." "Then tell me," Portia challenged. "Tell me how a decorated officer falsified mission records and let another soldier take the fall. Tell me how you sleep at night, knowing a child died because of your arrogance." Drew looked her dead in the eye. "I did what I had to do to survive." Later that night, Curtis confronted Portia. "You went behind my back," he said. "You don't think I have a right to know what's going on with my friend." Portia's eyes burned with tears. "I did it to protect you. To protect Trina. You don't know what Drew's capable of. You don't see the man behind the mask." But Curtis, always loyal, always stubborn, wasn't convinced. "He saved my life. He helped me find my strength again." People change, Portia. Not when they've buried the truth this long. Word began to spread. In a town like Port Charles, secrets never stay secret for long. Carly was the next to find out, thanks to an anonymous envelope left at Kelly's, containing the redacted mission report. Her world collapsed. Drew had been her rock, her partner. Was it all a lie? She confronted him in the Quartermain mansion, her hands shaking. "You told me everything. About Helena, about the cell, about Jason. But you left this out." "I wanted to tell you," Drew said quietly, "but I was afraid. Afraid you'd see me differently." "I do," she whispered. "I see a stranger." The fallout was swift. Sam, furious for not knowing what Drew had buried even from their past, refused to let Scout near him. Valentine, seeing potential leverage, tried to offer Drew a deal. Immunity in exchange for ELQ shares. But the worst blow came when Curtis, heartbroken and torn, asked Drew to step away from their community rehab program until the truth was sorted out. "I just need time, man," Curtis said. "Time to figure out who you really are." Drew nodded, stoic. "I understand. But secrets have layers in Port Charles, and this one had another twist." Portia received another encrypted file, this time sent anonymously. A video file. When she opened it, her blood ran cold. It was footage from the mission. Helmet cam video. And in it, clear as day, Julian Reddick ordering the strike. Drew trying to stop it. Civilians rushing out. Chaos, blood. And Drew rescuing the small child and carrying him to safety. Julian's voice echoed. "We finish this. We burn it all. No survivors." Drew had covered up the mission, yes, but not to save himself. To stop the truth from tarnishing the military's name. To protect the victims' families from the horror. To honor a child who had survived but lost everything. Portia's hands trembled. She had been wrong. She called Drew to her office. He walked in, guarded, expecting another ambush. Instead, she showed him the footage. "I misjudged you," Portia said softly. "I saw shadows and assumed they were yours." Drew sat down slowly, overwhelmed. "I tried to tell people. No one would believe me. So I buried it." "Burying truth always comes back to haunt you," she said. "But maybe it's not too late to dig it up again." In the end, Portia gave the footage to Jordan. With it, Drew was cleared, his record restored. The families received closure, and Julian Reddick's legacy, once protected by lies, was finally laid bare. Drew stood before a room full of veterans, the truth finally unburdened and spoke. I am not a perfect man. I've made choices I regret. But I have never stopped fighting for honor, for truth, and for redemption. We all have ghosts. It's what we do with them that defines us. In Port Charles, redemption is never easy. But sometimes, the most terrifying secrets lead to the greatest reckonings. And for Drew Kane, the truth didn't destroy him. It set him free. Thanks for watching this video, and please subscribe our GH News 24 YouTube channel for more update news.